You want to know what real trust looks like? It's called raising $15 million on a single phone call. No pitch deck, no follow-up, just one call, wired, funds, bam.
Trust before terms. No trust, no wire.
Because today's guest has what 99% of capital raisers do not, and that's proof. That's precision, and that's real relationships. She's not sliding into DMs or text messages or sending a million emails. She's structuring $200 million in equity, that's cash, consistent 20 to 30% IRRs, and partnerships with operators like Grant Cardone, Monday Properties, Clear Sky Capital, and much more. She doesn't even chase investors. Investors chase her, because when she says, I'll get it done, it gets done.
And if you are able to dig into the emotional aspect of why people do things, it creates synergy between you and the investor. We had this conversation about being the lighthouse, like having people come to you.
You once raised $15 million, right? On a phone call, right? So tell me, what was said on that call and what foundation had to be built for someone to wire you $15 million on a phone call?
From send me your deck to wired funds on one call. How's that possible?
Welcome to Real Estate Profit Boost, the show for elite investors, developers, and capital architects who play the long game and win big. I'm your host, Jerry Katz, and today's conversation is going to reshape the way you think about raising capital, building trust, and delivering real returns. My guest today, that lady right there, Tahnya Fallon, a friend of mine and the founder of Lion's Eye Capital, a boutique private equity advisory firm with over $225 million in equity raised. Equity, folks, that's cash. Consistent 20 to 30% IRRs and partnerships, as I mentioned, with some of the biggest names in the business like Grant Cardone, Monday Properties, Clear Sky, and much more. Here's the thing. She's not just a capital connector. She's a capital engineer. She just doesn't find money. She builds structures that make the money perform. So if you're a developer, a high net worth investor, or a capital partner looking for your next move, you better pay attention, because this is where capital meets clarity. And if you haven't already subscribed to Real Estate Profit Boost on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, we drop weekly episodes that help you scale returns, protect your downside, and play the long game the right way. So let's get into it. Tahnya, welcome to the show.
Oh, I love your introduction. It was so great.
Awesome.
So
I'm
nice.
excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. And I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about capital meets clarity, because that's really what it's all about in this industry.
Thank you again for being on the show. Every time I'm around you, I'm inspired. So I just want you to know. And you're my Instagram buddy now. So it's super cool. And thanks for letting me steal the Wonder Woman Superman thing. I loved it. It was great. All right. So let's start here for, our audience. And keep in mind that our audience is high net worth, real estate investors, but then we got those beginners out there. So, it's great because it's a great channel, great community. I know you like building communities. So I'm going to go right into it. You once raised $15 million, right? On a phone call, right? So tell me, what was said on that call and what foundation had to be built for someone to wire you $15 million on a phone call? Because I heard you say that at the Miami Dubai chamber. So let's hear it.
Yeah. And I actually get asked this question so much. We have to reverse engineer this question, really, because it goes down to the minute you shake someone's hand as to able to get those wires on one phone call. And just going back to what you're saying, the partnership aspect, the presentation, the details of how you speak to someone, the clarity of communication that you're able to provide for someone in your whole presentation of who you are, uh, it plays into the one call close. And
The one call close. Go ahead.
no,
Right?
it plays into the one call close. And I think, I mean, everybody wants a one call close, but the preparation of what goes into the one call close is quite systematic for me. So
Okay.
going back to the handshake, uh, I like to overpromise and overdeliver for everyone. And what that means is being upfront and building extremely strong partnerships. I don't go into shaking someone's hand talking about transactions right away. I don't want to know anything about money. I don't know what I want to know how much money they have to deploy. I don't want to know where it comes from. I want to know about you as a person. I want to know where you come from, how you grew up, how you spend time with your family, how your interactions with other people. That's what I want to know. Because if you can build that type of clarity with me as a person, it me initiate that I want to build a partnership with you because of the integrity that you hold for yourself, not because of the money that you have. I don't care where the money comes from or how much you have of it. Everybody's got money. I don't know how many billionaires in this world, but we can find that money.
And 35 in the United States.
$35 in the
Which is
United
not a
States.
lot of people, but go ahead.
Okay, like whatever.
But I
I
like your mindset.
mean,
There's money everywhere, abundance. Go ahead.
there's money. We have to think in the optimism of abundance here, uh,
100%.
because there's a lot of millionaires too.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead.
so
There's a new term too. I forgot what they call it, right? When you're worth over 10 million or 100 million, there's a new term. It's like a teenth millionaire or something, but whatever. We'll get into that another day. But there is another term for that as well. But, okay, so go ahead.
I
So,
haven't heard that one yet. But
yeah,
yeah, going back to it, I want to know the type of person that you are. And once I can understand essentially the frequency that you're on, it allows me to dive into the more financial aspect of it. And once we're able to see the visionary of where this person, why they want to invest. Why? Like, I ask the question, why? What does this investment mean to you? What does it mean to your family? What is the vision that you see this money growing within your family? And all of those questions play an emotional role to people. And if you are able to dig into the emotional aspect of why people do things, it creates not only synergy between you and the investor, but it helps them really see and understand that these investments are more than just money. It's creating legacy for them and their family. It's creating legacy for the future of their wealth. And between you and I, most high net worth individuals, billionaires, investors, we think very differently. There's a mindset that we play chess of, understanding the long term game. And if you can understand that on a frequency with someone else, it initiates a process of moving forward that you both are on the same foundation and you're both willing to build together, not just for one transaction, but it helps you build and compound for multiple transactions. And that's where it becomes systematic. That's where it becomes systematic, learning the long term vision. And essentially, we had this conversation about being the lighthouse, like having people come to you and understanding your light as a person as well, because that's where I come with the positivity aspect of things, uh, visionary for other people as well.
yeah, I'll ask you a question. No, listen, it's exactly why you and I are on this show together, right? I didn't know Tanya, folks.
Yeah.
Everyone knows me from me, like, the podcast and things like this, my office, my culture. It's built on, you say the word frequency a lot, right? And I understand what you're saying, right? So the point is for me, you know, I stand on my belief systems and my core values, right? The last thing I want to do is be the richest guy in the graveyard, right? I can retire today. So, but I'm not going to retire today. And it's not about, the money, the money, the money. It's about the values, the integrity, the vision, everything that you spoke about. But what's interesting, what you said, and then you said it becomes systematic once, so for example, I met Tahnya, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. I met her at a conference, and there was 4 people on a panel, and there was her and 3 or 4 other individuals. She was the only one that I could hear. The rest were selling from the stage. That's what I call it, right? And it becomes so inauthentic when someone's selling. I'm the best commercial realtor there is in Miami, right? Great. So when I heard Tahnya, she didn't speak about anything about it, even what she does. What she did is talk about who she is, right? And how it works and her whys and her purposes. So I was attracted to that, right? I know that she runs Lions Heart Capital, and I know what her bio looks like because it's pasted all over the walls at the event, right? But that's what I heard. She doesn't even chase investors. Investors chase her, because when she says, I'll get it done, it gets done. So curious, when you're vetting deals, right? Whether you're capital raising, right? I get the systematic part, because once you establish that vibration, that legacy, you asked about what are they doing it for? Their parents, their family, their legacy, all of that. How do you do that in the beginning, right? How do you vet somebody who calls Tahnya and say, hey, Tahnya, I got, $140 million deal. I'm looking for $40 million in equity. Do you have a process to get to that level, or is it just a feel, a
It's
vibration?
honestly really a feel, and I mean, of course, there's a process, there's a systematic process, but you gotta think about it, Jerry, every person's different, so no process is ever going to be the same. And I have to look at every single person different, every project different. But the processes that I like to look for, and I guess the different pillars, what I like to look for is, the credibility aspect and who this person is, number one. Have they, who are they in the community? Just from, like looking at them online type of thing. Number three, what does your you know, who are you? Who are you as a person? And then if the project's good, we need to see if the project's credible as well. And it's looking into all of those different aspects of just, like there's just a lot of like digging that you have to do. And I guess there's just questions that you have to ask up front. And I can't think of like any real specific situation. It's just more of the engagement of, conversation and knowing about the visionary of everything.
Got it. So let me ask you this in a different way. Who, without saying names, and why have you said no to capital raising for? Give me an example, because I know you say no a lot more times than you say yes.
I definitely say no so much. And the reason I say no is more or less the fact that, people come in with this very high strung, I need this, I need that. Let's get this done really fast. I want this money in here. We have this timeline here. And there's no substance to it. There's no substance to the project. There's no substance to the transactions. I see that there's not a lot of care for the investor. I see that it's just a one-time thing. And to me, that doesn't mean anything to me. It's too transactional. It's too transactional for me to be able to uh, want to facilitate a long-term partnership with that person. And on the other side of things, it's when people explain why they're doing this project. They explain the visionary. They go into the details. I have two sponsors right now that are so heavily involved with this project that they're doing. Two lawyers that I'm working with, the finite details of what we go over on phone calls are so I mean, that they're so in tune with the emotional aspect of what this really means to them and
Got
why.
it.
And I love hearing about these things because, again, it comes down to, it comes down to the final outcome.
Right. No, 100%. So, like, I mean, we're very aligned, right? Meaning that people ask me, why do I do this show? Right. And what is my mission? What is my vision? Right. And I turned, I had this insurance agency for 20 years because I fixed my own problem in real estate. Right. And then I had a guy running it strictly for our projects in real estate. That's the crazy thing, right? Because I was so tired of the industry. And today I came in here 5 years ago and I said, you know what? I'm gonna change things, right? So my mission today is to disrupt a greedy capital markets world and insurance world that focuses on profits for insurance companies and banks, right? For the titans of real estate, who are your clients, who are my clients, who ourselves, because she's starting a fund and obviously I own real estate, because I'm tired of it. Right. And I use today insurance as a profit leader. But if I can't partner with the capital markets that will waive insurance things like terrorism that increases your insurance by 6%, right? Because it's a government mandate. So it's unnecessary. We're entrepreneurs. We don't need those risks, right? You
Mhm.
understand, DSCRs and all that good stuff in non-recourse world. Insurance companies are owned by the banks. And the banks lobby the Fed to mandate insurance requirements. And I can show you 80% insurance reductions if I use the right capital stack, the right partner like Tahnya. And the next thing you know, when you take $1 million insurance policy for an investor or someone who's trying to build a legacy or create low income housing, right? Or anything of that nature, what happens when we take $800,000 of an expense out on the capital stack side? How much more do you get funded, right?
No, exactly.
$10 million. So if you give the titans of real estate the fuel back that's been taken by the insurance and the capital markets industry, and I'm not being specific to you, but I'm being specific to the large banks, CMBS, Fannie, all of that stuff, right? It's ridiculous. We're all entrepreneurs. So I stand on that. And that's why today we insure over $4 billion worth of stuff. And I shout it from the rooftops. So we're on a mission. She's on this very, very similar mission. So, and that's why our values align, and that's why she is a key strategic partner in my world. I can't use insurance as a profit lever unless she can get the money raised or the capital stack in order that can base it on real risk reward. Right? I don't need sinkhole coverage in Denver where there's no sinkholes that the government requires. So, for example, and we're all entrepreneurs and we get that. So, a curious question, because I don't even have this one written down. So Tahnya and I, out of nowhere, share a connection, right? I'm the ex-president of Entrepreneurs Organization. And there was a gentleman that I mentored 15 years ago and brought him in. And I bought a fourplex from him. He was a wholesaler, Property Force. I found out after meeting Tahnya and having lunch that she actually, Oliver, was somewhat of a mentor to you 7, 8 years, 9 years ago, correct? At
Yeah.
one point, she worked at Property Force, right? Oliver was a great guy. God bless his soul. So for the other people out there, right? Because today Tahnya Fallon raises $200 million in equity. How did you make the transition? Because yeah, you stand on your values today. You can say no to so many people because of your success, but oxygen when you're starting a business is just like money. Money is like oxygen. If you don't have enough, you can't breathe. So how did you make that transition from, you know, let's say, you know what I'm saying, barely paying the bills to where you are today? Were you always, systematic on the core values? Tell us a little bit about that, because that's the difficult leap, right? To get to you where you are today. So give us a little of that on Tahnya.
So I'm actually writing a book right now. It's called Welcome to the Other Side.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
and what the book explains is how to do exactly that. It's how to get to this. It's called in Italian, it's called attraversiamo. Let's cross over. And what that really means to me of being a business owner, being a woman business owner, is so much more than I can ever explain, because not only is it the vision that you have to see for yourself, it's the feeling of what you have to feel, of owning who you are and validating who you are, to know that no matter what is happening for you in your industry, whether you're in real estate, whether you're in insurance, or whatever industry you're in, that you are doing, the intention and the outcome, no matter what it ends up to be, is for your highest good. So how this how this all plays out of the commitment part of it is understanding that crossing that bridge is the step that you take and for the rest of your life. That is one of many bridges that you're going to cross. That's the extroversion that you're going to make. But once you get there, you're going to take other people to the other side with you. And that commitment is deep rooted as to knowing uh, the core of who you are. And that core, it's not about money. It's about who you're helping at the end of the day. And when you realize that you're helping people for a good cause, everything else follows. The money, the abundance, the systems, the people, it just happens. It just happens. But it's the feeling going into it and knowing that you're feeling that feeling every step of the way. And you're building upon that feeling with everybody else that's following you. Um, and there's an exercise that I like to do of uh, knowing and validating who you are. It's something that I do with my energy doctor. Is when you walk into a room, you actually imagine yourself like every molecule around you is cheering for you. You have to think about it from like a finite version, like we're
Right.
not to try to go science. We want real estate to science here. Um,
It's okay though. Well, spiritual science. Go ahead.
yeah, but every molecule is cheering for you. And that positivity factor builds a feeling in yourself. Um, and that feeling, it emulates, it compounds, and then it gets stronger, it gets more powerful. It gets to the point where your leadership and your voice becomes it becomes so powerful to the point where you don't even realize that the whole room is cheering for you. You're just in it.
You're
And
in it.
yeah, you're just in it. And you become part of it. So your frequency, going back to the frequency, elevates. And these investors, these people, they see that.
That's right. 100%. I saw it.
They
That's it.
really see it.
Right. Listen, that's a bomb, guys. That's like a boom, right? Like I know you guys are a real estate podcast. Okay, let's get to the deals, right? And the techniques that she uses to raise capital and everything. But if you notice a certain pattern, whether you follow me on my IG, her, and every guest that's a real estate titan that's been on this since the beginning, there's always a moment like this on this podcast, right? And if you notice, her intention is abundance for good, what they're doing. And once you cross over, which I love how you use that, right? It becomes this semi manifested world of abundance and goodness, right? And I will tell you, I've met many entrepreneurs, right? I don't personally, I don't get involved in networking groups because everybody's got a hidden agenda. Everybody's got a this. I don't feel that, what she's talking about. That's why we create our own communities like Real Estate Profit Boost. But there's an aha moment that once you understand what I call the laws of the universe, right? It's just automatic. And I heard you say that in a different event. You said it's automatic. It's almost like your success is guaranteed when you have the right intentions, vibration, motivation, and mindset. And that is where 99.8% of you, it just doesn't click, right? Because you're too busy worried about what you need and not how you can help. And that's the main shift, even for me. When I worked on Wall Street, I made $3 million before I was 30 years old. I lost it in 6 weeks, got a margin call, had to sell my condo in the city because it was about me, right? So that's the bombs that you're going to hear on Real Estate Profit Boost. So, Tanya, thanks for sharing that. We can make that into 40 empowering mini shorts. No. All right. So, listen, I know you're in the middle of a big deal, right? And I know, we got to keep the NDAs and all the names disclosed, but tell me why you're so excited about this deal.
So this deal actually was presented to me the night that I met you at the Miami Dubai, and uh, it is one of the biggest equity deals in the United States right now. It's backed by our president and some very hefty investors. And
Mhm.
I recently became a development equity partner, Conic Development Group, and we are working together. Essentially, I'm their COO of Chief Operator of Operations, and I'm putting the pieces together for this, not only to just be a real estate project, but this is this translates into a multi-billion-dollar business. The capital raised within itself is, whoa, you have fireworks.
AIs. It was cool though. All right. That was that's for the president. Go
Well,
ahead.
right, yeah, the president gets fireworks. Uh, so so this project is much different than, you know, going to a family office or a high net worth individual. Uh, this is going to sovereign capital. The total capital raise that we're looking at is $21 billion. The strategy, the financial documents, the partnerships that we are working with are top of the line. And this is going back to the foundational component of why strong partnerships are so important. And my team and I are building out not only the best of the best, but a project so substantial and visionary to uh, Florida right now that could change the trajectory landscape of this state for so many years to come. And I'm so
Amazing.
to be a part of this. It's such an incredible opportunity, and the team that we've built is not only strong, but they're very intentional as well. And I mean, some of the calls that I'm sitting on, it's almost surreal to be sitting with some of these professionals that have not only built out billion-dollar stadiums in America, but have built out in Asia, in Dubai, in Saudi,
Mhm.
and to be a part of that accumulation and see what's getting built and the visionary aspect of things. It's really incredible because we are the creators, we're the developers, we're the partnership makers, and for me, this is what I thrive on.
What's the difference in the dynamic of those rooms? Is it the same as the family offices, but meaning the energy, the vibration? Is the intentions the same of these billion-dollar projects versus these $500 million projects? Is the vibe still that, that high frequency? They're doing the right thing kind of thing?
Well, I think anyone that works at that particular level has to be there already. They've already countered out all of the liability uh,
Mhm.
of people in their life, and that's why they are the best of the best. And to associate myself with a project like this, to them, it is the best of the best, and that's why they're looking to partner with us. And yeah, I
What?
mean,
Why do you think they tapped you?
so why we're having this whole conversation is because fundamentals, the partnerships, uh, the fundamentals of partnerships. Our CEO uh, had noticed me while I was speaking, and tapped me for the same reason as of I love your core values and who you are as a person, and you truly understand what we're looking to do here, not from a just a project standpoint, but from an alignment standpoint.
Got it.
And I walked right into this, and it's been a few weeks really. It's very fresh and new, and but the momentum that we're building as a team is I it's nothing that I I don't think that I can handle, or it's wait, I gotta rephrase that. It's nothing
Right.
that I know
It
I
doesn't
can't handle.
intimidate you. You're
Yeah,
not intimidated.
no. This project is, is the confidence booster of confidence booster
No, that's good. Right. You're tap.
that,
Right.
you're in the rooms with some of these people, but also to go back on validation, I am one of those people.
You are one of those people in the room.
I'm one of those,
Love it.
and that's why I'm there.
There you go. Love it. That's a great self reflection, right? And awareness, right? Because you got to pat yourself on the back. You are one of those people. You're one of the people in the
I
room.
know exactly. I'm literally at the round table. So
Right.
it says a lot, and I don't like to, you know,
I get it. I
talk
get it. But
but it says a lot about the integrity that I hold internally, uh, why I do certain things, and the alignment of who I keep in my space.
no, that's fantastic. And by the way, where's the ROI for that project, right? Because the ROI is not, a check today or whatever it is, finder's fee or whatever it is. The ROI is how far out before you probably get. I know you're going to get paid in other ways, right? Connections, other deals, reputation, proof. But it's a long term situation. Am I correct? When
This
you
is
actually get paid.
this is a long-term situation, but not even that. We're equity partners. I mean, there has to be a working capital aspect to this because we're going to be traveling around the world, uh, with financial documents, working with the contractors. We have to pay those people. We're in high level positions as to where, we're, we're of course we're getting paid a salary at as what that looks like. So the working capital has to be uh, put into play for that. But on the total ROI, there's definitely, a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Let's put it that way.
No, 100%. Got it. Got it. So just so we can, I mean, first of all, congratulations. That's fantastic. Right. And obviously, it's like you said, I've heard you say, it just kind of happens on its own once you cross over, which I love the name of the book that you're going to do and things like that. So a lot of people don't get it, but there's a huge takeaway in what she's saying. And there's no reason, no coincidence that she's one of those people in the room. So congratulations on that. That's fantastic. So if I head back a little bit to the deal flow and things that you did, right? You have consistently gotten to 20 to 30% IRRs, right? For those people who don't know, it's an internal rate of return. What type of skill set do you have? And how is that possible? How do you have you consistently be able to do that for your investors?
So it's one of those things going back to holding credibility, and overperforming and or overpromising and over delivering. Now, as far as I should preface you, I wanted to be an FBI agent before I was in real estate. Uh,
Ah, that's cool. So she's doing profiles on me right now. But go ahead. Huh?
I really do sponsors that I take on. I ask a lot about, projects that they've done in the past. Show me what you've performed on. It's like talking to an athlete. Like, have you been in last place every single time, or have you been in first place every single time? So it comes down to, again, understanding it all comes back to the core, understanding people's fundamentals, why they chose this project, why why did you choose this piece of land? And if you could see the strategic patterns in how people choose and delegate certain deal flow for themselves, it
Hmm.
you see why they're able to overperform on every single project.
Got
So
it.
back to the FBI, I take a look at all of those different aspects, and there's a very in tune strategy of what I look for and why I look for it. And once I'm able to find that, it helps me clarify, is this going to be an asset investment or is this going to be a liability investment? And if once I clarify the asset, I can move forward with my investors. I trust this project. I trust this person. There's loyalty there, not only to the investor base that they've previously done, but this is another one in the batch that we can perform on for the future to come.
No, and I hear what you're saying. So I've learned the hard way myself, right? So anybody can underwrite a deal, right? I can underwrite a deal blindfolded. ChatGPT can download a Nobel Prize winning real estate, finance guy, and you can plug in all the numbers on any deal and it can spit out an IRR. But I also know that if it's a multifamily property and I project that rents will increase 6% versus 4%, right? All of a sudden the IRR jumps from 25 to 28%. So for me, yes, the deal's got a pencil and numbers, but for me, it's like you said, it's either the sponsor or it's the general partner. So how do you underwrite? Because I've seen the best deals of my life, right? Like I've seen them, but if the general partner can't execute, right, on all of these different factors. So for me, today I'm a limited partner with in a lot of my clients' deals because I see how they operate on the insurance side, for example. So we're doing big deals with them. Are they lying? Are they full of crap? Are they willing to take too much risk? Do they pay on time? Do they sign their documents? Are they responsive? Right? All of these things, right? Because we can finance insurance contracts, all that. And then once I start to see their workflow after 3 or 4 years, then I reach out and say, hey, I get it because I underwrite it. How do they treat my staff? Right? Are they yelling at them and calling them jerks, or do they get it? Right? What happens when there's a mistake? How do they react? Right. So to me, I'm always betting on the general partner or the sponsor. It's never the deal, right? And me, as a limited partner on many of my deals, when they go bad, guess what I do? I step in as the GP because I'm an operator and I bailed out my own deals, right? Because
Yeah.
the GP didn't have the grit to continue, or he lost face with his investors, right? Because he was afraid and scared. So why do I bring this up? Because she's saying it in a technical form, right? But I get exactly why she's successful. Because if you don't get the people that you're dealing with, right? What happens? Like, so Tahnya, how do you vet? And this is a great question. You brought it up. I mean, it came to my mind. How do you vet $1 billion deal in new construction in Nashville, right? And then the market goes south, right? Or COVID hits and inflation shoots through the roof and interest rates go up 500 basis points overnight, right? How do you make sure you don't lose your money? You already answered the question, right? Because the sponsor and the general partner or whoever is involved on the team, they don't give up. They're Johnny Bravo or Tahnya Bravo, meaning because a real leader, when you're in battle, right, and plan A didn't work, you don't run and lose. What you do is you shift and you can handle any environment. So for me, she's it's exactly what she's explained here, and also what's made her successful because the people that can vet this and vet those people, I call them Johnny Bravo, right?
And
Tahnya Bravo.
just
Go ahead.
going to that, it's you have to be a real chameleon in real estate because it's an ever-changing market. It's like a roller coaster ride that doesn't end. And being
Right.
a chameleon means to be able to pivot to any color that the real estate market is going to show you. And what that going back to systems is that and the credibility of sponsors is that learning someone's system and pivoting off a system to essentially be the is not an easy thing to do. And there's very few people that can execute on those types of pivots as to what makes sense now and what can we see long term. And it's really a matter of seeing in the future and having a visionary aspect of the forecast of, mitigating your risk, and understanding what the market could be within the next. I wouldn't like to say it's like a 6-12 month thing. These types of people are thinking, 10, 15, 20 years out type of thing. That's how they're able to pivot. That's how they're able to pivot and say, okay, yeah, no, the pivotal aspect to it is, what, because you see it in the underwriting, you see it in the deal performance, you see it in the in the frequencies, you see it in everything on a deal as to what someone is, building out. Again, going back to the roller coaster, that ride is ever changing. And the fact that there can be quick decisions made, but have a systematic way of doing it, it builds the overall return aspect of knowing that, okay, we tried something new and this actually worked based on XYZ fact.
Got it. So that leads me to this question, right? Like certain times, the market can dictate a deal that has to shift. So in 2006, I did about 200 units condo conversions, right? And we were about to do one of our biggest projects, and we bought the multifamily. In 2008, the condo conversion market fell out of bed because of the global financial crisis, and all the, the mortgages that everybody was getting disappear, right? So I had a problem. I had an investor that wanted to continue with an 80 unit condo conversion in Miami Beach at the time. I was 70% complete on the project. I wanted to sell it to someone else, right? That thought they could finish the project because I saw we weren't going to be able to sell the units. It was a 1 month battle with my investor, right? To listen to me. Finally, he listened. We exited the project. The group that took on the condo conversion never finished and went to long-term rentals. Bang, right? So how important is it to have your investors vetted that can pivot, and how do you work with that? Because obviously you raise a lot of capital.
I not only do you have to
Because
have,
you're having those conversations, right? When the deal's turn, right? Go ahead.
we can have a whole podcast on this question. Uh,
Give us the short form for somebody, because listen, a lot of my client base are syndicators. I got a kid from Argentina. He's 30 years old. In 24 months, he partnered with an Argentinian family office. I had dinner with him. Guy's got 400 units under his belt, and he's complaining he's not making any money, right? Because syndicators, they don't make money until they have waterfalls or exits, right?
yeah.
But and he's got one family office backing him. That's it. So give
So
us a little bit for this audience that is in that beginning stages of raising a couple $100 million, not in equity, but equity for him is only $15 million today. But at 30 years old, he's kicking butt, right?
yeah.
So
So there's a difference between people who invest in real estate and people who understand real estate.
love it.
You have many people who want to park their capital somewhere and walk away from a project and just, it's great. They're LP investors, they want their chunk of change at the exit, but they don't understand the project. They say, oh, it's a great return. Um, and then you have investors that ask a lot of questions about the project. I mean, most of them do, but the investors that ask the risks, they ask, what if this happens? Where is this market going? Those are the investors that I love to work with because they
Wow. Go
understand
ahead.
the potential outcomes of what could be what could go wrong, what could go right. And if there's an exit that needs to be made on a project last minute, it's like those are the pre conversations that you have prior to the investment. And
Right.
if you're able to vet out those types of investors and have those types of in tune conversations, you know you have a good real estate investor. You know you have someone that not only understands the envision the vision of the the project, but understands the actual investment. And when you have that, it creates synergy between the ride of what's happening within the market.
Right. Listen, that's for those folks out there, right? That's a huge takeaway. So I've syndicated deals myself at a smaller level, right? And when I was first starting out, most of it today is a little different. But the point is I can't tell you how many syndicators that are, at 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 units, let's say, or smaller projects. Let's call it mid-market, $5 million to $100 million, right? They think the exact same opposite as Tahnya. Why? Because I get presented deals. So I'm the founder of the South Florida Commercial Real Estate Forum, 10 real estate guys, 10 years together. And we get deals presented to us all the time. And people are intimidated. 9 out of 10 deals we say no to. Why? Because we are investors, right? And I can evaluate that guy's deal, who he is, his values. I understand the market, interest rates, capital markets, you name it. I know what's going on in Saudi Arabia, right? Because I watch Bloomberg every day behind my office. So the point is 90% of masterminds and syndication, they teach not to deal with a sophisticated real estate investor as your client for raising capital, limited partnerships from. She is now, and I've had people on this podcast saying that don't get involved with real estate investors as limited partners because they're going to tell you what to do. Hers is the exact opposite. And she's playing at a way different level, right? Because of her vetting the core values, the vetting the partners, the sponsors, the GPs, everything. And then because they can pivot easier and they understand. That's a lot of takeaway, Tahnya. You're probably the first person on the podcast that prefers real estate investors to raise money from.
I think it's about talking the language as well. You know,
Right.
real estate has its own language, and there's a relatable language that we all initiate to each other. And I mean, of course, the fundamentals, the core of everything. But if there's mutual agreement on, the deal flow with someone that really understands it, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like there is instances as to where people want to overstep boundaries and everything, but that just goes back to the fundamentals. Are you a good person? Are you know? Do I know you're going to overstep my boundaries? It's it's a high it's the piece of the puzzle that's missing as to why people encounter these problems. And that's why they don't prefer LP investors who understand real estate. The people that understand real estate are the best investors because they understand the longevity, they see the vision, they see everything. They know where their money's going, they know when their money's coming back. I love the people that ask questions
Love
because
it.
I'm a real estate investor myself. I ask those same types of questions.
No, I listen. In 2009, I exited most of my stuff in 2007 because I got my butt handed to me on Wall Street. I said, I'm not going through another cycle in the real estate world. Today, I regret it. I wish I owned everything I still owned in Florida. But in 2009, I started something called Black Marlin Capital because I had a track record and I raised 10 million in equity, straight up blind fund with an 8% compounding pref. Put a bullet to my head. Okay. Because I was a beginner. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was able to raise 10 million. The bottom line is after the global financial crisis, right? Washington Mutual folded, all these things. I couldn't deploy my capital quick enough. And I had a compound pref destroying me, right? That adds it really quick, compounding pref. So I only put out $2.6 million in capital and I couldn't deploy the capital. And I had investors screaming at me that I had cash sitting in a fund, right? Earning like close to nothing at that point. And at the end of the day, I mean, I remember one guy's wife was pissed that I painted a building brown. Okay. Things like that. So my way of fixing it, I bought them all out. I paid the compounding pref. I took the loss. I took the hits. And then I own that real estate today. But I under anticipated me deploying because Wham-Moo and Holland and Knight held up the entire portfolio of billions of dollars in real estate in Florida that was taken back and assigned receiverships instead of liquidating. Right. So I couldn't deploy the capital. It was crazy. So I made those mistakes. So because part of this audience are beginners, right? So if you're a beginner, right, in the world of, let's say, syndication, and you want to get started, right? Give us some tips. Give these younger people or whatever, whoever's starting out, how do I do it? How do I raise capital? Where do I go? Obviously, we know that integrity is everything.
Yeah.
And it's not just the deal, but you need a good deal, right? So just give us your 2-3 minutes on, if you're speaking to a beginner investor who's just starting to syndicate, so they don't have to make mistakes like I did.
Believe that you should always have some type of core in the industry. Mine first starting out was Grant Cardone. I worked for Grant for a long period of time, and then it pivoted. But you have to understand what other people are doing in the real estate world that makes sense. And there has to be some sort of copy and paste when you first start out. And it's looking at other people's systems that work. And if it's not broken, don't fix it. So if if you
You're like a mirror to me, but whatever. You read my mind, but go
if
ahead.
it's not broken, don't fix it. So once you're able to emulate and mirror someone else's strategy, it you start to learn things, and you start to learn your own process as a real estate investor of finding certain deals. You start to find your flow, if you want to call it that, in real estate, what your what assets are going to be the best for your portfolio, essentially. But I think starting out of the deal flow, the capital raising, look at what other people are doing that works, and
Love
then
it.
copy that, and then find your own flow once you have some type of foundation. And then it just kind of compounds from there. As far as the capital raising part, I mean, we've talked about this enough on this call. It's, finding vetting the right people. For me, when I first started out, which I don't do anymore because there's AI became amazing. Um,
Right.
it was cold calling family offices, and I was setting meetings with them. I was like Jordan Belfort and friend, in my own boiler room, uh,
Right.
setting up phone calls with these people, and I would set Zoom meetings, and, I would go over the project, and, um, I would just engage with these people. I would meet them in person. I mean, I had my own separate fund of monies that I set aside that I would set to meetings, set to delivering to them as, giving and adding value. And I should have said this first. How are you adding value to another person's transaction? So it's not
Love it.
copy paste. Think about the copy paste part for sure, but how are you initiating value in that copy and paste aspect of things?
Love it. Love it. So I'll give you my take on that, right? I love everything you said. So do you know what R&D stands for in a big company? R&D.
I don't think I know, actually.
It's usually because it's not in real estate. So R&D, like at Microsoft or Pfizer, it's research and development, right? So there's always a research and development, part of a company, right? It's where they come up with all the new stuff. So for me, R&D is exactly what you said, and this is why we align. For me, R&D is rob and duplicate. Everything I do is a rob and duplicate, because just like you said, you want to learn. There's already a system that works. right? I don't need to go and create something from scratch. And that's where so many younger people or entrepreneurs think it's an idea that they have to come up with. Has nothing to do that. So I rob and I duplicate, but then I improve, which is the same thing that you said. Get into the flow and then understand different strategies around what they do. So if I look at, McDonald's, right? That's a burger business, right? But when I look at Five Guys, they rob and duplicate a very similar system and improve it. And they got higher margins, right? What's an electric vehicle? It's a copy of a motor vehicle, right?
Exactly.
So I love how you framed it, right? It's the same thing, but I call it rob and duplicate. And it's such a big lesson for people. Like, you don't have to come up with this new idea and be a pioneer, because most pioneers, like if I'm going for gold in the Klondike, 1% of people ahead. But if I rob and duplicate someone else's process to find the gold, and then I refine it and I improve it and I get better at it, everything changes. So, uh,
You
yeah,
don't
no,
reinvent the wheel on certain aspects of things that work. And
right.
I like the Robin duplicate. I might
R&D, baby, R&D. It's
steal that.
fireworks
You know,
again.
fireworks again.
Right.
um,
But like, I was taught that by a mentor, right? She figured it out on her own, on her take on it, but it's so true. So that's why taking certain mastermind courses, or Mr. Shapiro, your friend, and it works, believe it or not. And right, and look what she said. She put aside investment dollars, right? Because she was cold calling family offices. They don't know who she is. She learned a system, whether it's Jordan Belliver's straight line. He calls it straight line cold calling, which that's another story. I know that too. But the point is she made a plan. If you don't make a plan, you plan to fail. She put away money, and then she has the grit, right? The grit means she's got confidence and she's executing and the system, and she's learning. Then the last point that you said, I don't even know why I'm clarifying it to kind of speak to a 15-year-old so you understand this, is that I don't care that I'm the guy with the most money in the room. I don't care that I got the biggest deal I'm working on in the room. That's ego, and that is the enemy. What I care about in the room is exactly what she said. How much value can I provide in the room to the people in the room, and how much can I help others? That's the mind shift of a real estate titan, Tahnya Fallon. That's my mind shift. It's not about what I can take from the room, right? And that's the big misconception that people, it takes them decades to figure that out, right? Yeah. And even in her beginning, she got that. That's why, at the ripe age of 30, she's working on billion-dollar deals. So the point is, yeah. So don't take 40 years to figure that out, right? So awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it.
comes down to, and you mentioned something that I relate to so much. It's not what you can take from the room, but what's said about you after you leave the room. Is what was your impact that you made to people, as when when you were engaging. How did you present yourself? And that goes back to the original conversation. Like, how did
100%.
what is your I don't wanna say MO, but, like,
Yeah, no, right.
your your persona that you hold yourself to, uh,
Right.
of giving? But giving has it's got a whole aura within itself, and people know that when you're a giver or a taker. So, when you leave the room, people are gonna either talk about you as of, I don't want to work with XYZ person, or, oh, wow, I actually learned something from her or him. And I think I could see myself moving forward with that. And those are how you get the phone calls. Those are how you get the emails. Those are how the deals get initiated to me. It's about attracting uh, and aligning yourself, not, uh, not begging for something. Because the moment you
100%.
ask for something, the moment you ask up front, you're a taker.
You're a taker, a net taker. Right. No, 100%. I listen, I'm training a new guy. He went to a family office event. There were 16 people at a dinner, right? And at the end of the dinner, one of the largest developers out of Mexico, right? He's got about 900 million assets in 3 states. And then 3 other people. One's in Puerto Rico. This owns 12 hotels. This, and I'm with a guy who's a new hire, right? I asked him to come to the dinner, right? At the end, these people came to me and they said, "Hey," right? And they gave me their card and said, they gave me their text, right? And he looks at me, he's like, "You didn't say a word all night, except when you spoke." I spoke thanking the person that invited me, and somebody congratulated. I stood up and spoke and talked about how I met somebody and why the connection occurred, right? And why I was there that night. And I'm so happy that it worked out for somebody. And the guy looked at me, he's like, "How did you do that? You didn't ask anybody for anything all night long. And all of a sudden we have 4 meetings." And I'm like, I said what you said. I said, because I don't ask for anything, right? And I provide the value. They hear it. It's my vibes, my persona. And I learned this the hard way, right? I attract, I do not chase, you know? And I wish I could instill that on my children, for example. It's hard to learn, but you heard it here. So if you keep that in mind, eventually you'll figure it out, right? When you make that, what's the name of your book called again?
Welcome to the other side.
Welcome to the other side.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful, Tahnya.
But this
Right.
is really how it's
I'll do the forward if you ask me.
this is really how it's done, Jerry. I mean, a lot of people, you know, I'm not your typical real estate professional, and I'm so happy that I get looked at like that because, like
It's you.
it's me. It's definitely me. Exactly. I hold my authentic nature, and of course there needs to be, the finite of numbers and, the actual like job of what you're doing. But there is a very big piece of what people miss. And this is the puzzle piece that ties it all together. This is why people can't raise the capital. This is why people are having trouble negotiating with investors. This is why investors ghost people. This is why investors want to exit out of your project in the middle of, a downturn in the market because you didn't initiate the initial factors that needed to be said up front and built the partnerships to create that lasting puzzle piece that's going to create the bigger picture. This is
That's
the piece
huge.
that people are missing.
Right. That's huge, guys. That's huge learning. And yes, you heard it on Real Estate Profit Boost. So share it with people, especially high net worth investors that or a rookie. So do it. Tahnya, we're not done. We're gonna have a little more fun, right? I'm gonna ask you one great question, and then I'm gonna end with like a little rapid fire about what you think about the market and things like that. But let me ask you this. What can Real Estate Podcast do for you? Right? So tell us what you need from our audience, from the community, how they can reach out to you. Who do you want to reach out to you? And go ahead, tell us right here.
Well, it's funny because we don't ask for anything.
I know, but I'm asking you to ask, right? Because
If you're asking me to ask, I mean,
they're gonna call you anyways, right?
yeah,
Because they hear this, but you don't want somebody who's doing a $2 million deal to call you, right? So
yeah.
tell us a little bit about your company and your niche, and kind of the thing. We don't need to go into everything that we talked about. They heard that. Okay, so go ahead. We know what kind of people she works with. She know what all that kind of stuff. So who would you want to reach out to you? Who's your ideal client? And I'm talking also, give us some metrics, right?
Yeah, sure, sure. So
Mhm.
typically, Jerry, I work with sponsors who, hold the credibility. They have a long track record of, I would like to say, I reside in the hotel condo hospitality space of either ground up developments or like value add projects in the Miami market. I would say Miami Beach, Brickell, downtown, branded residences. I specifically work with the high yield projects. So developers in that space, I'd love to
Mhm.
be able to, look at your project and see what your projections are and, place you with the right investor. And then going to the other side, obviously you need investors to fund the projects. So if
Got
there's
it.
investors who align with what I'm saying, and you can understand the value of who I am, Tanya Fallon, and what Lions Eye Capital is. I would love to be able to show you projects that will help grow your wealth and will give you long-term positions for where you see yourself in the future.
Awesome. And obviously, her contact information will be in the description. But what's the best way to just find you on the website, on Instagram, on everywhere, right?
Yeah, you can find me at my website, lionsEyeCapital.com. You can shoot me an email at tfallon@lionsEyeCapital.com. And
Awesome.
yeah, come find me. Call me.
Okay, so now, no, you're awesome, Tanya. So now I know you care a lot about empowering women entrepreneurs. So if you were who would you ask to reach out to you that maybe I know you mentor that you can mentor, right? Because for me, and I know you're very similar to me, I am my best when I am for others, what I need for myself. So I have 3 to 4 mentors, and whether it's food or business scaling, right? And then I'm always teaching, right? I just signed up with the project, I already forgot what it's called, but it's for transitioning military Navy SEALs into our industries. So I'm constantly doing. Who are you looking out there to reach out to you? You looking for a mentee, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's anyone and everyone that is willing to commit to themselves, uh, their business, the future of who they see themselves becoming, taking action for themselves. I love to work with women entrepreneurs as of, understanding the masculine feminine of what it means to be a woman entrepreneur and the process of what that entails from beginning to end. And the mistakes that I've made to, put them in the right path of, building and scaling in the right place moving forward. I love working with women entrepreneurs because there's a very relatable aspect of, who we are. Doesn't matter what business you essentially run. It's the core of understanding, being a woman and having to step away from the
Love it.
the role of being a woman and, matching the alpha in you, but also knowing how to transition out of it as well.
Right. That would be a great program, by the way. The alpha in you, right? So no, it's great. Listen, when I was the president of Entrepreneurs Organization, I love it. I had a mentee. Her name was Wendy Lieber. She runs a digital marketing company. She's still all over LinkedIn. She was my mentee in an accelerator program where I helped scale businesses from 250,000 to 1 million. Right. That's how I met Oliver. He was also in that program. And then she made it to YPO standards, which she crossed $2.5 million, right, in revenue. So when I became president, I made her my membership chair, purposefully a woman, right, on the board with me, because I found out to qualify for her at that time, you needed 10 million in revenue unless you came through Accelerator. And I found out that 11% of businesses in Miami-Dade County were owned by women over 10 million in revenue. And we had 210 members and only 4 women. I didn't understand the numbers. Why wasn't it 11%, right? Of 200? It should have been, 20, 22 women. So I went on a mission to do it. Today, that chapter is about 18% women in Dade County.
Wow.
So, because if you put a woman on the membership chair, she changes the game. And by the way, our forums were mostly male. The last 7 forums, which are 8 people that meet in a confidential setting every month, entrepreneurs, now they're all mixed.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
super empowering to have a woman in your forum speaking as a man. Completely different perspective, right? When you're sharing experiences on business, person, community, and self. So awesome. If you need help with that, you let me know. I got the right little people that can help, and so on. Okay, here's a big question. Let's go forward 10 years, fast forward 15 years, right? What's the vision and what's the legacy you're building for, for Tahnya and Lion's Eye Capital?
Another amazing question. We're really
Okay.
let's go. Let's go backwards a little bit. So when my father passed away, the last words he said to me were, "Tahnya, go buy me the lottery." And he handed me a lottery ticket. And that lottery ticket was like passing a baton to me. And it was that I can create anything I wanted to in any way I wanted to. I can bet on anything, I can play any gamble, and it would always turn out the way I wanted it to. Because that's what gambling is, right? Like you're making a bet.
Right, right.
And I took that so seriously as of it's like you are initiated. You are the one.
Right. That's awesome.
You are the chosen one.
Right.
And what happened in that moment didn't just become about real estate for me. And just to give you an idea of who my father was a very affluent architect. He used to build the global pharmaceutical companies all around the world. And I mean, his placement in the real estate world was quite substantial. But not only did it platform in real estate, but it platformed in the aspect for me that I wanted to, anything I initiated was to grow other people's lottery tickets. How can I help people grow their lottery ticket? What does that story look like for them? If you can, and this is going back to the mentoring part, whether it be the book I'm writing, whether it be the speaking events that I'm doing, whether it be the $21 billion project I'm doing, you know, like
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Uh, the legacy is how I made people feel. When I die one day and, we're all gone and what's left is the people that I want, the things that I want to be left in people's hearts and visions of me is how I made them feel.
Love it. That's huge.
I
No,
got
I heard the fireworks. I don't know what's going on. Today's my editor. He tells me thumbs up means fireworks, but I thumbed up you so much today that we got a lot more fireworks than usual. Right. No, listen, I heard it. Like you, just to reflect back what you said, it's about how can I increase the lottery tickets of others, right?
Yeah.
And it's just so different when it's such a different feeling, right? Like the impact of things, right? And like she said before during the podcast, and what I got from her when I first met her, it almost becomes automatic when those are your attentions, right? And you get so much in abundance back from the universe. Not only that feeling of that, but helping others and so on. So there's just an automatic to it. So that's awesome, right? I have a feeling over 10, 15 years, it'll be more structured, probably foundations, maybe programs, maybe books, maybe empowerment for women, if that's your passion, right?
Yeah.
Things of that nature. So that's awesome. Awesome. I mean, listen, guys out there, girls, pay attention. There's so much value in interviewing somebody like Tahnya and so much experience that you don't have to make the mistakes. This is a mentorship class in itself, so really put some comments in there, share the value, tell us what you think, right? Tell us what you think of what she said. I don't care if it's good, bad, or ugly. Tell us, right? Well, I'll answer you. You'd be surprised. All right. So with that being said, since she's a savvy real estate investor involved in billions of dollars worth of projects, I'm going to give everybody a little market update with Tahnya. So I'm going to give you some rapid fires and then we're going to close it up and so on.
Awesome.
So, let's wrap it up with this. So, what's your favorite asset class now and why in Dade County? Let's say South, let's stick to South Florida because I know you've done projects in Nashville and this, but tell me what your favorite asset class is and why.
So I like to stay in the condo hospitality market. Reason being is because there's a lot of opportunity in that condo market today. There's a loophole that we've essentially discovered. I think 25,000 or so condos are up for sale right now, and
Mhm.
I think not even 10% of them, 5% of them are performing. The ones that are performing are at a turnkey status. Now, if you see the vision of it, there's opportunity for buying these buildings out right now. There's opportunities for development on these buildings and either demoing them about adding value to turn them into the turnkey properties. This is
Got
what's
it.
on the market. This is what the brokers are going after. You look into projects like, some of the sponsors that I'm working with, we haven't even dug yet, and we're 100% sold out because of the projected outcome to the actual finished product. That's why I like to stay in this. But also, going into the hospitality market, there's so many different uh, things coming to Miami. We have FIFA. We have this new mall at Inner Miami that's pulling so many people here. This project that I'm working on is going to initiate, hundreds of millions of people to be able to come as a global destination to come here. We need places for people to stay. People need places to live, and hopefully some infrastructure to build out the traffic here.
So you love Miami.
I love Miami. It's an
You don't
incredible.
see any slowdowns.
I mean, there's, there's a lot of, things with the tariffs and, uncertainty of, you know, money's coming in and where money is going. But I think that just leads back to education. I think it leads back to educating your investors because you're an investor for a reason. You have to move money for a reason. Money has to
Right.
go somewhere. Your goal is to build wealth. And it goes back to the fundamental. Everything goes back to the fundamental. Why are you building wealth? What is the vision? Where does it come from? Regardless of the market, this is why you talk to the people who understand the market and can understand those types of pivots. It might sound redundant as an answer, but at the end of the day, like those are the main pillars of why we ask those questions.
No,
And
I love it. I love it. I get 100%. Right. And for me, I believe that this 6 month period right here that we're in the middle of is the best. I haven't bought a deal. Well, I bought two deals in the last 90 days, but I haven't bought a real estate deal in over 2 years prior to that. Right.
yeah,
But I'm not a developer. I'm a value add guy in a multifamily space mostly and some retail and so on. But I I'm in contract on two things right now, and I'm about to make an offer on an entire portfolio that's off market. Why? Because it's the slowest point in the market for value adds. Interest rates have been at the highest. All the bad news is into the market. And now, finally, the sellers are giving up, right? So I get it. And I also know, like, for example, what you mentioned is I'm seeing deals around Brickell, downtown trade for dirt. Like Citadel took out the two condos behind it and now they're going block to block, right? So Miami is rocking, right? And she's at the forefront of it, right? It's unbelievable and so on. So okay, she's hot on Miami, folks. And all right, so a couple more rapid fires, right? So we'll try to answer them quick and so on, right? Um, one mindset, one mindset shift every investor needs to make now, based on the market. It's hard because you could do it.
I think it's a matter of uh, living in the uncertainty and understanding the uncertainty of the market because that goes back to the education. right? Um, there's a lot of things that are happening politically that build tension in why investors move, or you have an overly aggressive investor coming in, not really understanding the market. So I think it just comes back to education of understanding, you know, really the fundamental of everything.
Got
Um,
it.
living in the uncertainty of what could be. But again, it goes back to people that understand the market, right?
Right.
It's you have to have
100%.
that can chameleon to those types of uncertainties, and build a forecast within their mind. And you have to have the same visionary forecast of what that deal looks like in the future. So the unknown is hard, but I think if your stillness is allowed to align with the unknown, and again, knowing, I said this in the beginning, understanding that everything is working out for the best of who you are, and whether it be a learning aspect or growing in a state, then that's the mindset set shift that really needs to happen.
No, love it. Love it. So, like, the way I'm hearing it, so like, my son wants to buy real estate. He's like, it's not the right time. I'm scared. Interest rates are high, blah, 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 blah. Guess what, folks? You don't work on a $21 billion project because you're worried about interest rates, right? That's a decade, maybe 2 decade projects. You know how much uncertainty can happen in a decade, whether it's tariffs, the sheriffs. I mean, the sheriffs, the tariffs are moving, whether it's presidents, whether it's COVID. Long term doesn't wait on what's happening. They don't. So fear there's always a way long term, right? And that was one of my biggest mistakes. I lost my butt on Wall Street because of the dot-com cycle. I was wiped out, so I had PTSD. I sold the majority of my real estate in 2007 thinking I was a genius, and I was asked to be a speaker. If I would own those assets today, my God, I don't even, like, you understand? It's unbelievable. I was buying stuff at 40 a unit and blew it out at 75 a unit, thinking I had a home run in 4 years. That
Yeah.
stuff's at 250 a unit today, right? Because of the cycles.
Yeah, it's kind of like, even if you like relate to the stock market, I mean, the stock market has dips, it goes up, it goes down. But like, if you look at the long term vision of the stock market, its trajectory is always going up.
Right. Long term.
You have to think
Understood.
of real estate. That's how you
Right.
have to think of real estate.
Right. Your biggest mistake will be not acting. That's it. Right. Especially if you're a beginner. You want to learn, just buy a piece of property. Stop analyzing. Right. But I mean, obviously don't, analyze the deal. If it's a 5 cap, try it on. See what happens. Okay. Couple quick questions and we're gonna finish this up. What's a couple of your favorite books that you would recommend?
So, I mean, I'm kind of like a very philosophical reader.
Awesome.
I
Marcus Aurelius. Go ahead.
No, I'm currently reading Science of the Mind by Ernest Holmes. It helps build out, different frequencies. Actually, this whole conversation is really based off of that, but it'll give you an idea to how I think and
Awesome.
how I initiate all of my different interactions with people. It's very dense, if you like dense reading, but
What's
it's
something, right? What
yeah.
about from back then, 10 years ago? What's some of your favorites that changed your mind shift or mindset or gave you a different skill?
I mean, like, obviously a good one, Think and Grow Rich. I mean, that's you have to
Right.
have the abundance mindset to really be in everything. I mean, I, I've I've read many Grant Cardone books, to be sell or be sold, and that's going back to the learning aspect. Never Split the Difference by Boss. Understanding the strategy behind the voice of frequencies and learning people's patterns. It's all the same thing. It's just written out in different ways.
Right.
Really,
No,
it's
I get it.
the
I
thing.
love it. See, you and I get it because we've compounded here, right? Let's call it that, right? 1% each day, right? Atomic habits, goals aren't that important. And it's just your daily things. So what's your morning routine? What's your daily routine look like? Not in the business, but what do you do for you?
So, morning routine for me is I don't look at my phone first thing in the morning. I mean, the moment I wake up, uh, you know, I try not to set an alarm. I just allow myself to wake up when I wake up. But I've trained myself to go to bed at a certain time, to control what time I wake up and allow my body to naturally rest and give myself everything. But I've built a systematic way of how that happens. And I give myself about an hour, hour and a half. I do not set any meetings. I don't look at my phone. I don't look at emails. I just sit in my own space and
Mhm.
process what I need to do for the day and process, what's happened in previous days, just reflect and how I can strategize based off the situations that have been placed to me. Um, the previous days to how to add the most amount of value to what's happened and moving forward, always moving forward.
Love
From
it.
there, I
Self-reflection strategy. It's
yeah,
the time of peace that makes the
yeah,
difference, not grinding away.
yeah.
Right.
I always set time for a meditation just to clear my mind, make sure that I'm in the right state of the day, especially if I have major meetings. I'm talking to very high level people. I need to keep my mind clear and space for them to create. And the creativity factor is the most important part of what and who we are as business owners. Because if you can't create, you can't have an end result, right? So I leave
Love
space
it.
for that. And then I move my body. I move my body as of, going to the gym, whether be taking a walk, whether it be lifting weights. I was a professional athlete for years as to where, I would put myself in hardcore workouts, and I don't do that anymore. uh, you know,
Discipline,
it's
commitment, vision. Yeah.
movement in your body creates movement in your mind.
I love it. I love it. So listen, I want to leave this with this, right? Because you are the epitome of what I'm about to share in my learning over the last couple of maybe 2 years or so, right? Is because we always go through, things like patterns, right? And I've broken some patterns in my own life because of self-reflection. But one of the things I understood recently is that education, right, leads to skill sets, right? Skill sets lead to networks, and networks lead to resources, and then resources lead to reputation. Tahnya is in the reputation world. She's there, right? So I'll give you a quick story to end this real estate podcast because this is exactly who Tahnya is. So a friend of mine lived on Venice Beach, California, and this was about 20, 22 years ago. He had those 3-story townhouses where the people jogged behind. And there was a guy walking up, right? And leaned on his fence at 7 in the morning. He was having his cappuccino in the morning. And the guy's like, hey, my friend is like, get off my fence. You're dripping. And this. He goes, what are you doing? He goes, I see you jog here every day. You don't stop here on my fence and you're making a mess. And the guy goes, well, what do you mean? What am I doing? He goes, I'm thinking. He goes, so I took a pause because I had a good idea. He goes, on my thing. He goes, what did you come up with? He goes, I'm going to send rockets to Mars. I'm going to put chips in yeah, I'm going to put chips in monkey brains that can control computers. I'm going to make cars that drive themselves, and I'm going to build robots that can help paralyze people. So my friend is thinking this guy's a lunatic. He's been watching him run by, right? So the bottom line is he's got out of the loony bin. But here's the thing. He wasn't out of the loony bin. Do you know who that was? It was Elon Musk. So the point is when someone at 20 years ago says that, you think he's a lunatic, right? But the bottom line is when Elon Musk says today, I'm going to put up a satellite network around the world and have Tesla phones, and I'm going to put tubes in the ocean and do that. Guess what? Tahnya gets $5 billion behind him because he's at the level of reputation and execution, right? We don't think he's crazy anymore. So this is exactly what I see with Tahnya. She's been, your education leads to your skills leads to your network, right? Which is everything you've been through. And then your network leads to your resources, that leads to your reputation. All of it's built on integrity. So when Tahnya Fallon picks up the phone and says, I want $15 million, guys like me say, here it is. So that, and what I've also learned is I can't jump from here to here, Tahnya.
No, you can't.
Right? You can't. You got to establish yourself. So I give you credit for that, right? Because a lot of people don't understand that. And here's the other thing. What I learned is you have a tremendous ROI for your skill set, right? Tahnya could work on a $10 million deal and make 2 points on that deal for whatever she did, consulting, right? So she makes $20,000 or whatever that is, $200,000. Okay. But with the same skill set that she has, she works on a $100 million deal at 2 points. That's 20, or that's whatever it is. But she works on $1 billion deal at 2 points. So think about the ROI on your skill set today, right? You're not getting 2 points on 10 million. You're getting 2 points on $1 billion. I can't even do the math right now, but that's probably $20 million, somewhere around there. But so I also applaud you for recognizing that, right? Because I didn't recognize that for like a couple of years personally, because you have a very unique skill set. I know I do too, but I think you, quicker than I did, because you're much younger than me, you evaluated what's the highest ROI for my skill set, right? Because you could be doing $1 million deals. Instead, she's doing $21 billion deals. So, ba-bam. Welcome to Real Estate Profit Boost. Tahnya, you're a rock star. Thank you for being, and I'm honored to be your friend, and thank you for coming on. So,
Thank you so much for having me. This was incredible. Yay, we got the fireworks.
and there's the fireworks. So, right. So that's it. So listen, people out there, share this with your friends. Come on, this community is for helping others, right? That's what it's for, right? Like this is, we've shared so much good stuff here for people. So share it, post it. And I'm not, and that's what it's about. Make your comments, because we're creating a community based on values to help real estate investors, to help anybody. There's so much mindset help here. There's real estate. So please share it, right? It's called helping others. You're dealing with the top 0.001%. Remember she said in the beginning, how many billionaires are in the country? There's 2,600. There's 350 million people. Divide that by 2,600. And I don't know what percentages, but you're talking to somebody who's running with the 0.1% right there. So share it, folks. And that's it. That's today's Real Estate Profit Boost. Thank you all. Love you. Peace, love. That's it.